Story that we've been following for you all this week and really for the past several weeks. The head of the artificial intelligence company that makes ChatGPT told Congress that government intervention will be critical to mitigating the risks of increasingly powerful AI systems. Altman proposed the formation of a U.S. global agency that would license the most powerful AI systems and would have the authority to, quote, take that license away and ensure compliance with safety standards. His San Francisco-based startup rocketed to public attention after it released ChatGPT late last year. That free chatbot tool, it answers questions with convincingly human-like responses. And what started out as a panic among educators about ChatGPT's use to cheat on homework assignments and expanded to broader concerns about the ability of the latest crop of generative AI tools used to mislead people, spread falsehoods, violate copyright protections, and upend some jobs. Chris Warren, he's the managing partner of the New York-based Warren Law Firm. He's standing by here today to talk to us about all things AI. Good morning, Chris. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate having you on the show.
Morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And first, let's jump into it. What are the big concerns that we have with AI? And specifically, what are the big concerns that lawmakers have with AI?
We're talking about forced, implicit, or explicit bias, right? Being coded into these large language models. The essence of the legal profession is pretty simple. We're advocating for our client's position and communicating those concepts to another person, typically a judge, an advocate, another adversary, a jury. And a big part of lawyering is counseling our clients in the mitigation of these unseen risks, systemic risks that AI just cannot predict. I can think of very fewer industries other than the legal industry that's more concentrated and focused. Out of 300,000 court cases last year, only 5% made it to trial and then become reported decisions. The data set is extremely narrow, and yet the only experience a large language model AI would have would be that data set. So an unrepresented person looking at only that information is only getting a very small percentage of the data and could be making legal decisions based on that limited data, which could have catastrophic and unintended consequences.
You mean that you can't just pick it out of a book and put the case together?
Yeah, it was that easy, yes. And it would be simpler if that were true, but a lot of lawyering comes down to experience and knowing when and what to say and when to say it to who. And AI just simply can't do that. They're only seeing the end result, what a judge's order is, not necessarily the path to get there. And when it comes to emerging technology or innovation technology, the government leaders in our government keep making the same mistakes over and over again, right? The most recent thing I can think of would be the 2-year bit mining ban in New York State. Bans, moratoriums, pauses do not stop innovation or development. It only drives it underground or offshore. Instead, I agree. We should encourage our representatives to work hand in hand with these innovative companies to instill and install regulatory guidelines that companies can follow, clear rules of the road that will keep us both competitive and people safe.
What do you think some of those rules might look like then, as Congress looks towards trying to find some way to create compliance measures for these companies?
The first thing that came to mind was Asimov's 3 laws of the robotics, right? So that's physical. How do we prevent a robot from physically harming a human? And that's really where this is going to go, right? AI in some type of synthetic body. With AI, it's kind of everywhere, right? Manipulating truth is more the concern with AI. So the first safeguards I can think of that should be put in place right away is obviously privacy and data safeguards. You should have control over your data. You should be able to delete your data. You should know where your data is going. You already have AI listening to your conversations. It's in your home. Anyone that's ever connected to the internet, you have an ever-present shadow following you, and that is collecting data about you. Second, we need to make sure that AI cannot lie to us. AI, that's one of the big glitches is that AI just makes things up, right? People are already bad enough at telling when someone is telling them the truth or is lying to them. AI is even more difficult because you lose the context, you lose the nuance, you lose the body language, the intonation. And third, I think AI should not be able to edit or replace data that exists outside of its own data set. Bard recently connected to the internet, which I haven't read anything about safeguards preventing Bard from taking data that's out there. Let's use Wikipedia, for example, and editing it because it thinks it's wrong. That would be catastrophic, I think, if we had a large language model free and loose on the internet that was able to edit data.
I have to admit that I even tested out ChatGPT. I typed in something along the lines of write a television news script based on AI for me. And I read the script, and when I was looking at it, it did surprise me how accurate the information was, but also a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of things that just didn't make sense. Now, of course, as this technology starts to develop, we imagine that it's going to get far more sophisticated, leading to a point maybe where it looks like as if humans actually did write it and the information may be incredibly accurate. How do we safeguard against that, though? I mean, what are the measures that Congress, specifically, I suppose, would have to put in place? And then also, of course, we're looking at the potential negatives for this type of technology. I'd like to also wonder what are the positives, the limits and and beyond the limitations of what we could do here.
So a large language model AI, there's another type called constitutional, but I think we're focused on the ones that are fed information, right? And that information already has all the biases that people have, implicit or explicit. And the AI doesn't know what is wrong or right. It doesn't have a moral value. So testing these models to see how close to accurate they can be without unintentionally discriminating against large portions of the population should be the primary concern, because there's no way that the AI can know, and that by the nature of implicit bias, there's no way a person feeding information to the AI could possibly know that what they're doing is outside what would be good for people. As opposed to how AI is going to change the world, it's clearly already has with respect to the legal profession. I found that using AI tools in my practice every day has made me a lot more efficient. It's made me a better advocate. I can provide exponential value back to my client by incorporating AI into my practice. And I really believe it's very clear to me that in the very near immediate future, there'll be two types of attorneys: attorneys that embrace innovation and return value back to their clients, and attorneys that are unemployed. This is here to stay, and you have to get on this bus or it's going to leave without you.
Certainly, you have to keep up with the times, have to keep up with the technology. I think a lot of people learned that when pagers went to cell phones and cell phones became kind of top of mind. Last question I got for you. There have been some discussions from some of the makers of these technologies discussing whether or not AI, next-gen AI development should be put on pause while lawmakers look into this more to see outweigh the risks and benefits. What do you say to that?
Banning innovation does not work. Innovative companies are going to go underground or go offshore. They're going to it'll actually do the opposite thing that lawmakers and the people should really want. You want government working with the companies to develop the right guardrails to protect the public. And if you cut out that transmission and you make it so that the innovators can't talk to the government, you're creating a recipe for disaster, because this is not going to stop. In the end, it'll be other countries that are developing technology faster and better than we are, and we're going to be at a strategic disadvantage from everything from business to how our governments run, to national security, to who knows what implications a ban might have. The right way to do this is to work with these companies and innovate alongside them, and make sure that there are regulations in place that are common sense, that make sense, that promote the innovation, and that hopefully have companies embrace the rules of the road. So there's a clear path to, hey, how do we develop this in a safe way that serves the people, that doesn't create chaos, much like cryptocurrency or the lack of government oversight cryptocurrency did.
Certainly, as you have these new technologies being developed, essentially creating a bit of a safeguard in the meantime as the processes are being developed can help shape it to best suit the needs for our people in the future. Chris Warren, managing partner over at the Warren Law Firm there in New York City. Thanks so much for joining us. Any closing thoughts on this?
Looking forward to seeing where this develops. It's been a very exciting time in our industry and a lot of our clients' industries. The embrace of this technology is going to change the world. It's certainly changed the practice of law in a very short period of time that it's been available to the public. And we're looking forward to working with businesses to make sure that they're complying with whatever regulations are passed by local government to keep them safe.
Chris Warren, thank you so much. So many possibilities ahead when we talk about AI. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, folks, it's 7:40 over on the East Coast, 4:40 over on the West Coast. We're going to go ahead and take a short break here on Live Now from Fox. When we return, we'll reset with all your top headlines.